At Designer Shoe Warehouse, we believe that shoes are an important part of, well, everything.
From first steps to first dates, from all-nighters to all-time personal bests.
From building pillow forts to building a life.
For all the big and small moments that make up your whole world, DSW is there. And we've got just the shoes. Find a shoe for every you from brands you love at brag-worthy prices at your DSW store or DSW.com.
President Donald Trump of the United States, U.S. has announced plans to meet one-on-one with the President of China, Xi Jinping at Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation, APEC meeting coming this November in South Korea, and according to President Trump, he had a phone call with President Xi to also pay a state visit to China early next year to discuss and find a possible solution to end Russia-Ukraine war, and the U.S. issue with the Chinese-owned social networking company, TikTok, that may face complete ban in the United States if agreement is not reached on December 16, 2025. That aside, the United States government is currently being considered as a pseudo-practitioner of free trade and free speech, and freedom of association. Some observers accused U.S. government of monopoly in the technology industry, that it wants to remain superior in the social networking business. Hence the U.S. government is demanding to own and control TikTok, trying to use all manners of manipulative and deceptive ways to force ByteDance to sell TikTok to Oracle and Silver Lake among others because of China government alleged control of TikTok algorithm and also allegedly having access to the data of US users. Interesting as it may be, in the aspect of trying to apparently abuse freedom of association, United States government under President Donald Trump has revoked and denied visa to Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas and 80 other Palestinian authorities in order for them probably not being able to attend the United Nations General Assembly meeting to speak out their minds against Israel war in Gaza and other Palestinian territory, but other world leaders on Friday in a vote of 145 against 5 permitted the Palestinian president, Mahmoud Abbas, to address the World Assembly via video call next week. China, as one of the biggest economies in the world, has been on loggerhead with its major trade rival, the United States, since 2018 during the first tenure of President Donald Trump, and its loggerhead with US has probably made China to maintain a strategic, pro-Russian position on the war in Ukraine, publicly claiming neutrality while allegedly providing essential economic and diplomatic support to Moscow. Reports indicated that Chinese officials privately admit that a Russian defeat would not serve Beijing's interests, which center on its geopolitical rivalry with the United States. Also, China's state-controlled media, Xinhua News Agency, People's Daily, China Central Television, which include China Global Television, China National Radio CNR and China Radio International CRI, some of them always using the prominent social networking platform in China, the Weibo social media, are frequently and apparently always amplifying Russian talking points, such as blaming and accusing the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, of expansionist agenda and the US for allegedly creating the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. On TikTok, as of September 2025, TikTok continues to operate in the US while its owner, ByteDance, negotiates a deal with American buyers to avoid a ban. The social networking app, which has since become one of the most used social media platforms in the world due to its favorable algorithm that challenged older existing social media platforms for low distribution of users' contents. It may be true that there are certain things people do to others, they may not take the same from anyone. This assertion appeared to have come into play in the current administration of Nigeria President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who in the era of President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan apparently used spin logic to always make false statements, incite the public against the government, destroy the reputation and personality of the then President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. As you may know, spin logic in communication is a public relations campaign strategy that uses deliberate biased or misleading interpretations of events and information to influence public perception. In one of the viral videos between 2012 and 2014 in the history of politics in Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who was then a chieftain of the defunct Action Congress of Nigeria, ACN and later All Progressives Congress, APC, allegedly told a gathering of thousands of people that the then President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan said Nigeria citizens should face death or starve to death, directly or indirectly saying that the then President Jonathan did not care about the well-being of his people. Till date, Tinubu has not shown any evidence to back up his claim that the people are hungry. President Jonathan said they should face death, and in some occasions, Tinubu called on the police not to attack protesters. Specifically, on November 29, 2013, Tinubu tweeted via Twitter, now X social media platform, that police do not attack protesters, your children are involved, your lives are involved, your children's future lie here, and urged millions of Nigerians to protest peacefully against the Jonathan-led government. And in one of the protests, Occupy Niger, allegedly sponsored by Bola Ahmed Tinubu, according to Reno Omokri, who was then a media spokesperson to Jonathan, the then President Jonathan's photo was placed on a coffin as a dead man, and the coffin was labeled RIP, meaning rest in peace. Also, in February 2011, as reported by Nigeria media, Tinubu described the then President Goodluck Jonathan as a drunkard sinking fisherman, a word that appears to falsely describe the then President Jonathan as a man that always take too much of alcohol to the extent of losing control of his behavior. But, under the same Tinubu, who is now the President of Nigeria, the State Security Service, SSS, also known as the Department of State Service, DSS, has filed a court case against Facebook and X social media companies over a post published separately on August 25 and 26, 2025 by a well-known human rights activist and anti-government critic, Omoyele Sowore, and his online media, Sahara Reporters, and in the 5-count charges, the DSS accused Omoyele Sowore of making defamatory or false statements against the person of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for describing the president as a criminal after the president allegedly said there is no more corruption in Nigeria. In the legal battle, Omoyele Sowore has also gone to court to stop Facebook, X social media from deleting his posts, and sued the DSS for unconstitutional media censorship. The DSS in the suit marked FHC, ABJ, CR, as people of Nepal in South Asia country took to the streets in an unprecedented manner to protest an end to corruption and bad leadership in the country during the week after a short-lived ban on social media by the Nepalese government. Nigeria's secret police, known as Department of State Security Services, DSS, appeared to have doubled efforts apparently to avert the unpleasant Nepal situation in the West Africa country, a situation where some politicians in the South Asia country tasted the bitter side of their citizens like never before. The DSS has appeared to be on the neck of X social media management to ensure the deletion of a post tweeted by the founder of Sahara Reporters News Media and a well-known anti-government critic, Omoyele Sowore, that allegedly described the Nigeria president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, as a criminal, a statement Sowore made in reaction to the words of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu over corruption in Nigeria while the president was on official visit in Brazil. The DSS said Sowore misrepresented the president's statement, and as such, the supporters of the president are not happy over it. Hence, the security service demanded a retracted publication from Omoyele Sowore, but, in a swift reaction, Omoyele declined and accused the DSS of always acting illegally. In a letter written during the week and addressed to the Director General of the Department of State Services, Omoyele said, "I acknowledge receipt of your letter, which you stealthily dumped with a security guard at the office of my attorneys in Abuja, addressed to Abubakar Marshall. I find your horrendous attempt at holding an unwarranted brief for the president not only insidious but fundamentally defective, flawed in principle, and absolutely unlawful. The State Security Service was not created as a security institution. The SSS, now self-styled as the DSS, began as the Department, Special Branch, an office established in 1948 and initially located in the Office of the Inspector General of Police. It was later renamed the National Security Organization, NSO, but on June 5, 1986, the federal military government issued Decree No. 19, dissolving the NSO and unbundling it into 3 entities: the SSS for domestic intelligence, the NIA for external intelligence and counterintelligence, and the DIA for military-related intelligence. While the NIA and DIA largely kept faith with their mandates, the SSS under successive Director Generals has consistently acted bullishly, illegally, and unlawfully, serving as a ready tool of oppression for dictatorial regimes bent on breaking rules and repressing the rights of the Nigerian people. Thus, it is no surprise that you have once again resumed repressive hostility against me. In 1993, while I was student union president at the University of Lagos, policemen abducted me from the university gate during a peaceful pro-democracy protest. I was taken to your Lagos office after being driven around with my head tucked under a seat. From Awolowo Way in Ikoyi, I was detained unlawfully for weeks at the notorious Inter-Center near Ikoyi Cemetery. It took several days of lecture boycotts to force your hand to release me without charges. Again, in January and June.
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.